Hello, welcome to Davita's Stamping Spot. It's Tuesday, so Technique Tuesday time. I'm really irritated with myself. I just did my Facebook Live, had my Zoom set up to record it and forgot to push the record button. So I'm going to give you a short video, hopefully not too terribly long anyway, on what I shared tonight because I think you're going to love using this idea. Now, if you're like me, you probably have a lot of designer series paper that you dearly love and you don't want to use it because you like both sides and you can't decide, you don't want to give up the beauty of both sides. So you just don't use it and it just sits there. Well, Paula Batman shared in our Kansas City group a way to use up some of that designer series paper to make a card. And after she did that, Deb Matine shared it with a team meeting that I was holding, and I hadn't seen Paula's presentation. So I was really excited to see this. So I want to share with you what they shared with me. So we're going to start. Here's the card. I'll show you what we're going to make. So it's this card here, and then you open it up like that. And then this is stuck down, so it goes like that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of 8.5, or this is 12 by 12 cardstock, and we're going to cut off 1 inch of it. So we're going to move it down to 11 and cut. And the reason we're doing this is because our normal cardstock that we use for cards is 8.5 by 11. Now keep this strip because you can use it on the inside of the card if you want to. Now we're going to turn it the other direction, and we're going to cut at 8. And then we're going to cut again at 4, and we're going to end up with 3 card bases that we can use for a card. Okay, now I'm going to grab one of them and score it at 5.5 because that's the middle. Now remember, when you're doing designer series paper, you don't want to push down as hard as you do for cardstock, because our cardstock is much thicker than our designer series paper. Okay, so I've scored it in half, so this makes my card. And what's cool is you can see both sides of the paper. Okay, now I'm going to show you the paper that I used for the class tonight. I'd already cut it and used it, so I grabbed another one for this. So here's the paper, and what I did was I took the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and I just have them in my hands, but it doesn't. Here they are. So these dies here, and I'm going to show you using this one and the second one here, and we actually use this third piece, and then the second piece on this one. These are just so, I just love these dies. I love the stitching on them and everything. So what I did was I took my die cutting machine and my platform here, and I placed the designer series paper on there, and you can already tell I cheated. Okay, so I laid this on here like that and ran it through the Big Shot. Okay, die cutting machine, not Big Shot, but it'll work on your Big Shot. So when I took it back out, I've got 2 pieces now, like this. All right, now we're going to do some stamping. Oh, here I wrote this down for you. Oh, I forgot my tip. So a thing someone shared with me, and I apologize, I can't remember who told me, but our plastic containers now have this little flap that you can close your package up with. If you put your dies on the opposite side, then when you use the flap, it doesn't get caught on the dies. So you still have your name and everything, but then these are protected over here and they don't get beat up by the plastic flap, which I thought was a really cool idea. So I wanted to share that with you. All right, so here's the dimensions on the card again. Designer series paper, 12 by 12, 4 1/4, 4 by 11. Don't listen to me, read what I have. 4 by 11, score at 5.5. And the white paper that we're going to use is 3 3/4 by 10.5, scored at 5 1/4. All right. Now I'm going to take this piece here. And what's nice is it fits so nicely right inside there. And I'm going to use Merry Christmas from Perfectly Plaid. I think that's what it's called. The Plaid Christmas Tree Set. And I'm going to use the Merry Christmas. I'm stamping it in Pacific Point because that matches my paper here. And then I want some snowflakes. I'm going to stamp them in Balmy Blue and just around the edges here. Like that. I'm going to use dimensionals to put it on the piece that I cut out with the die cutting machine. And I'm using edges from the mini blue dot or mini dimensionals. I like it because they end up being rectangles, and sometimes I like having that rectangle shape. So take that, pull the papers off. Hope you're having a good Christmas week. It's hard to believe it's Christmas, especially when we were outside taking a walk today just in our long sleeved shirts. But I'm told it's supposed to get cold, so it's coming. All right, now we're going to go back to this piece here. I've taken my white paper and I need to score it at 5 1/4. And use my bone folder so we get nice score lines on both of these. Thank you to those of you that, if you were on Facebook last week, you saw that I had a migraine and wasn't able to do my video last week, which was going to be this. So I was glad I could at least share it tonight. We're going to go ahead and stamp the inside because I always tell everyone, do all your stamping before you glue, because if you mess up, you can turn it over and try again. So I'm going to stamp Thinking of You at Christmas here in the middle. This is from the Itty Bitty Christmas stamp set. And if you don't have this set, you may want to think about getting it. It is so versatile. I use this Thinking of You at Christmas quite a bit. This Lots of Love at Christmas kind of goes with the curvy stamp set that we're highlighting this month. It's got the Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm going to use the Christmas Cheer on the other card, Joy to the World. A very versatile set, which I really, I always appreciate when I can get a lot out of a set. It's not just for one thing. Now I'm going to come back with some snowflakes. Again, you always want to turn your stamps so they look more random. And you want to go off the edge so it looks like you cut off there. All right, so I did okay with my stamping. Now I'm going to just put glue on the back of the white paper here, all around. I use the liquid glue because it's a little forgiving. I have a little time to line things up. So I'm going to put it on the inside of the card, and you're going to frame it just like you do your cardstock when you put it in the middle of your card. So it looks just like that. Then we're going to close this. Now we're going to go back to this piece that I made. And since I've already put dimension on this piece, I'm just going to use my liquid glue and glue this piece down. Fit it right back in that hole like that. So now here's your card. Goes like this. Open it up. Push that down quite enough. Open it like that. You can write some more in there and then flip it over to your back. I'm going to put my stamp on there. And that's the first card. Very simple. Like I said, the neat thing is that if you have designer series paper that you love both sides, this way you get to show both of them and you're not gluing one of them down. So there's that one. You know I love snowmen. So I had to try a snowman. So this time what I did is I used the rectangle shape from the Stitch So Sweetly, the second to the largest one, and cut it out. And then instead of attaching it in the middle, like I did on this one, I just used the white cardstock. So see, there's the white. And then I took the rectangle and put it here on the inside, stamped my greeting, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and tried to stamp it twice, and both times I stamped it upside down. So I had all this extra space. So I added some snowflakes. I've still got room to put someone's name in there, and then put our names down below. But with this, you could add more snowflakes here if you wanted, or you can leave it blank. So that's another idea. Here's how different the snowman looks if you just add a little bit of color to him. So I took my watercolor pencils and I colored the scarf, the hat, the berries, the leaves, and his nose. And look how different that looks. I think it just really makes the snowman pop. And then when you glue this piece down, I used dimensionals. And what I did was I just put dimensionals right here on the top part of the frame, so that you want to make sure you don't put adhesive in this little part here, so it opens up. So he opens like that. And that's what I wanted it to look like. But my Merry Christmas got a little low on the second one. And then since I was sharing this and I knew we were moving into Valentine's Day, I thought I would show you, oh, hang on, I got my other Christmas one here. So this was the first one that I did, and he turned out pretty much like the one I just showed you. That's not the one I wanted. Here it is. So on this one, I didn't want to leave all the open space like this, so I just stamped snowflakes all around. And then on this one, I bet if you were here with me, you would say, I know why Davida put that piece in there. And it would be because I stamped my Thinking of You crooked. So I had to cover it up. So I just used another one of the pieces from that Stitch So Sweetly. These pieces, stamped my greeting, and then glued it down there. You know, you can always add layers when you have a mistake. All right, so those are the Christmas ones. Now let me show you my Valentine one. So I took some designer series paper that had some purples and pinks in it and did this. This is from the Heartfelt stamp set that carried over from last year. So I used the Happy Valentine's Day, used the cutout piece like we did on the first card, and then just put my greeting in here. So lucky to have a friend like you. And I'd probably come back in and stamp just a few more hearts on this one. So that is my Valentine one. Well, now you may be saying, okay, that 12 by 12 is really cool, but what if I have a lot of 6 by 6 paper? Well, if you have 6 by 6, they had an answer for that as well. So with your 6 by 6, you're going to take 2 pieces of paper, cut one at 4 by 5 3/4 and one at 4 and 5 1/2. So here's my 2 pieces. And then on the one that's 1/4 of an inch longer, you're going to score it at 1/4. So what I did is I scored it, and then I took my tear tape and put it on this strip. Okay, now that is just a little bit wider than that 1/4. And because I don't want to have issues with my tape, I'm just going to take my scissors and trim that right off like that. Now I'm going to take the tear tape and pull that off. And then line this up so it goes right over the top. It's nice and sticky, which is great, but it's also hard to put it together then. And you want it to line up right on that crease line. Like that. And there you go. Now you have the same shaped card. And what you'll do is where this crease line is, just put your white paper in there and lay it over the top of it. And then you won't even notice that that crease is there. So it's a way to use up your 6x6 paper as well. The stamp sets I used tonight, I don't think I showed you that. I used Snow Wonder, and Perfectly Plaid was the Merry Christmas, and Stitch So Sweetly Dies. If you have not ordered from the year-end closeout sale, you have until January 4th, but it is while supplies last. The clearance rack is really picked over already, but there still are some amazing deals on there. If you order and you're not over 150, if you would use my host code, I'd appreciate that. I use the money to get supplies for classes and for my videos and things. Thank you for stopping by at Davita's Stampin' Spot. Have a Merry Christmas. If you spend time with family this week, please be safe, wear that mask. Want you to be with family, but I want you to be able to spend time with me stamping again, so please be safe. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'm not going to say Happy New Year because I'll see you next Tuesday at Davita's Stampin' Spot. Thanks, and have a great Christmas.